What is up, YouTube? That's here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys something I probably should have started about 2 weeks ago. We are going to be starting up primarily VGC 2016 content on this channel from now on. That is the new format. It started on January 1st, and I just got to keep up with the times. I know I wanted to get that last little rounds of Premier Challenges out, but now that's over, we can transition into VGC 2016, and what better way to do that than to go against Chris, who is using Power Herb Xerneas and Primal Groudon, the two best new Ubers coming into this new format. You can see I have a team based around Cresselia and Giratina. It's very bulky, but I also have some fan favorites being Mega Sceptile and Choice Scarf Rotom Heat. So without further ado, we're just going to start this one, get right into it, and hopefully start off 2016 with a bang. So like I said, Chris is issuing that challenge. He's leading Xerneas and Salamence is one of those Pokemon who actually transitions very well into this format. The best Megas that weren't Ubers last season, so like Kangaskhan, Gengar, Salamence, I'd say those are probably the best three that still actually work very well in this format. Salamence has a great Intimidate. It's not too well against like my Pokemon, but Intimidate's great and it's actually kind of hard to find right now. But what's really good for me is that Cresselia and Giratina are on the board. These two Pokemon are super good at checking Primal Groudon, Xerneas, and I mean, they do a pretty good job against Salamence too. So first turn, Salamence is going to go for the Protect. They usually always do. They try to Mega Evolve, gain that speed for the next turn, as we see Xerneas pop a Geomancy now. Geomancy is a move most of you guys have probably seen by now, but what it does is it's a 2-turn charge move, kind of like Solar Beam or Skull Bash. And it goes, first turn, you charge, second turn, you get to activate it, and it gives you a +2 special attack, special defense, and speed. And through the use of the Power Herb, Xerneas gets to do all that in one turn, which makes it probably the most broken Pokemon in the history of Pokemon. More broken than Kang, more broken than Arceus, more broken than anything. But we have a counter to all that, and that is Giratina using Roar. Remember, Power Herb is a use item, kind of like a Focus Sash. It can only be used one time per battle, so once Xerneas pops the Geomancy, you just roar it out, and it's not really a threat anymore. And it's actually kind of good for us that we roar out the Xerneas into a Groudon. Note that my Cresselia went for the Icy Wind, so Cresselia is already pretty good against Salamence, who protected that turn. But Cresselia is actually a Pokemon I made just to counter Primal Groudon. Note Cresselia has Levitate, which means Primal Groudon can't really hit it very well with ground attacks. He'd have to go for a fire attack or some other type of attack. But what Cresselia really shines in is that it has Toxic. Toxic isn't a move that you don't really see that much in VGC, but I think Toxic and Will-O-Wisp, I think Status is the way to play this gen. Slow and steady wins the race. You don't necessarily need to play Trick Room. You can use like Tailwind or Icy Winds to gain speed control, but I can pretty much wall out these Pokemon no problem. Note that I'm using leftovers on my Giratina instead of like a Citrus Berry or even the Grisius Orb to go into Origin form. I like that bulk that the regular the regular Giratina form has. So we're ticking down all these Pokemon from multiple dots, and this is why Cresselia is going to be good. We're going to see Salamence decide to hard switch out. Burn Salamence isn't really that useful right here. Deciding to come in with Conkeldurr, another Pokemon who actually fares pretty well in this format, as we're going to see Cresselia go for a Moonlight. This is why Cresselia is a perfect check to Primal Groudon. You get to restore, Moonlight restores 66% of your health in the sun, and Groudon provides that sun for you. We also see Giratina go for Shadow Force. It's a 2-turn move, kind of like Dig, but it has a 120 base power that you're stabbing on Ghost typing. So, very unique move that only really Giratina can do to this level. And that's why we're using lefties, so we can use multiple forms of restoring HP. I think lefties is a better, more consistent way to restore HP than, let's say, like a Citrus Berry. So we're going to see Giratina break through everything, and Shadow Force. What the cool part about Shadow Force is that sets it apart from like Dig or Fly is that it breaks through Protect. So we're not really going to see any of that this game, but that is why we're using Shadow Force on Giratina. I think it's actually pretty good. As we see Conkeldurr go for a knockoff, I'm pretty sure I Toxic the Conkeldurr, which is why it did so much. I know you don't really ever want to proc a Guts Conkeldurr, but I actually feel completely fine here. I have dots on 3 out of 4 of his Pokemon, and there's no way this guy has KO potential on my Crest at all. So Crest is just going to sit back, relax, pop multiple Moonlights every turn, wait these guys out with Toxic, while Giratina just protects or Shadow Forces on the side and slowly takes everyone down. You see I pop into their Shadow Force here, and another really cool thing about Shadow Force is he has no idea who I'm targeting. It doesn't say, I'm Shadow Forcing Conkeldurr, this will happen next turn. He just has to guess, and you can't protect the Shadow Force. It'll just break right through it and still hit you. And that means, like, if I were to break through a Protect with Shadow Force, my teammate would be able to hit it too. So Shadow Force Giratina, a Pokemon I think is amazing. It's probably my favorite Uber going into this new format, and I'm really happy to test it out. So we see him switch out the Groudon, coming in with the Xerneas here, the only Pokemon that doesn't have a dot on it. And it's not going to be like that way for long, but we see Xerneas come in, and remember, we already roared this guy out earlier, and Xerneas, while being a very good Pokemon, isn't nearly as threatening without the Geomancy. But one thing about Xerneas is once you roar it out, and it knows your playstyle, it's obvious that I'm trying to wall out all of his Pokemon here and just tick him out. So we kind of cornered the tiger here, so this is the most aggressive we're ever going to get to see a Xerneas at this point. So we see the Conkeldurr restored health with the Citrus Berry, and he actually KOs my Giratina with a knockoff. Not really the biggest deal. Giratina will was the Salamence, got a ton of damage in with Shadow Force. Did everything I really needed to, and it really opens up a spot for me to come in with Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat being a Pokemon that I've used for like 3 or 4 years now in VGC. I love using a Scarf on this guy, and he actually has a pretty good matchup against Xerneas, especially once Xerneas loses that Geomancy boost. So I'm Volt switching out, taking out the Conkeldurr while I still can, deciding to come in with Sceptile here, my only Pokemon left in my team, and he goes for the Focus Blast on what was Rotom Heat, just trying to hit for neutral damage, and I'm not really Mega, so it's fine, I'll still live through this, but it did chunk me all the way down to less than 50 health, as we get the Toxic up on Xerneas, and it still says there's a few turns left in this game, but as you guys can tell, this one is probably going to be over relatively soon. I mean, there's no real way my opponent can really come back. We both have 3 Pokemon apiece, but there's dots on all 3 of them. My Pokemon are faster. I have potential speed control with Cresselia's Icy Wind. And there's no way, once Groudon is on the board, that any of these Pokemon can break through my Cresselia without multiple critical hits. So I'm going to go Mega with Sceptile. Remember, I gained Lightning Rod. This is my favorite Mega evolution. And I'm just going to pop the safe D-Pulse off onto the Primal Groudon. Taking that guy off the board. I kind of wanted to go for the Leaf Storm, but I didn't know how bulky it was. Dragon Pulse is stabbed. Primal Groudon doesn't have the highest base special defense, so I'll get to take that guy off, and Sceptile will go down to a Dazzling Gleam. It's not really the end of the world, but remember, his last Pokemon is Salamence, whereas my last Pokemon is Rotom Heat. And since we already know that I am running a Scarf Rotom Heat, we know that there's no way that Salamence is ever really going to be able to make an impact into this game. So we see I just went for the Icy Wind. That's the only real attack that I have that does damage, as Xerneas is slowly ticking out from the Toxic. Rotom Heat comes in, and Salamence comes back in. Remember, Salamence has the Aerialate ability. He traded that out. He traded his Intimidate out for the Aerialate when he Mega Evolved, as we pop the Choice Scarf HP Ice onto the Salamence. 4 times super effective, picking up the KO. And it's not always a KO depending on how the Salamence is built, but since the Salamence was at roughly about 85%, we are going to be able to pick up the KO. And Xerneas goes for a second Focus Blast, which hits. And it does do a very good amount of damage to my Rotom. Actually does like more damage than it did a Sceptile, because this thing is so frail. But there's no way he breaks Crest at this point. We're locked into HP Ice. Just going to start chunking Xerneas with those. And I love seeing the almighty Uber Xerneas, who's used to Geomancying and being like invincible, getting whittled down by Toxic. There's nothing more rewarding than seeing this board happen. He decides to go for a Dazzling Gleam. Remember, Rotom's Fire type and resists that Fairy attack. Even though Xerneas has a Fairy Aura, it's not enough to take it out. And, yeah, it's going to be GG right there. So that's the first VGC 2016 game on my channel. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys want a battle or have any comments about the battle, leave a comment below and either, ask for a battle or tell me what you think. Thank you guys for stopping by, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.